Hey, welcome to the Toolshed. This is a place you can stop by for about 15 minutes a day, and we'll share some information to make every job just a little bit easier for you. This wonderful, one-of-a-kind original Toolshed is brought to you by Schedule Engine. And today's episode about how all the different ways you can win is sponsored by our good friends over at Emerson.
Our very good friends. You see, one of them was wearing a hat in the Facebook group.
I saw that.
He told us we need a better merch model. His words, not mine. Morning, Jerry. How you doing?
Good.
It's a beautiful day in the what is it? The original one and only.
The original one-of-a-kind Toolshed.
Gets longer every day. I love it. Okay, well, so listen. Hey, we should jump right in because we have literally a metric gigaton. Or something like that. We have a lot to get through.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
But hey, today is packed. It's going to be a great episode.
What are we talking about?
We're going to talk about the different revenue streams, income streams that a technician, a service provider can tap into to make more money.
This is not what it's all about, but man, it's like
we got a big rock over here.
I was going to say, I give you your money back. It's one of the big rocks, and we're going to talk about how that like really affects everything. So we do have a ton to get to. So let's just jump right in. So this is spring training. It's all about getting ready for the summer. One of the ways we're going to do that, you can't make the shekels if you're on the injured reserve list. So we got to keep you safe. Who better to do that than our good friend, HVAC reefer guy, king of the socials. He's on a ton on Instagram, has so much valuable content there daily. He's a bunch of podcasts and YouTubes as well. He's on Facebook. So last week he was talking about heat exhaustion. Because it's all about the heat in the summer, we're going to hear about heat stroke today. So let's roll the tape.
So hey guys, last week we spoke about heat exhaustion. This week we're talking about heat stroke. And heat stroke occurs when someone who has heat exhaustion is being untreated. Some of the symptoms include sweating, unawareness of heat and thirst, body temperature rising quickly above 101 degrees, confusion or delirium, or loss of consciousness or seizures. Heat stroke is a serious medical emergency that must be treated quickly by emergency medical personnel. So if you're on a rooftop, something's going on, you're working hard, you're feeling some of these symptoms, or you see somebody across the roof that maybe is having some of those symptoms, like you want to get them off the roof real quick, you want to get them cooled off, you want to get water to them, and then you want to call 911 or a medical emergency because they need to be seen right away. So summer's real, heat stroke is real, and we want to watch ourselves. So work safe, be good humans. We'll see you next time.
Love it.
Man, I like mine.
Yep. Work safe, be good humans. Now, like, again, the reason we're dogging this is because it's like, Hulk smash, be safe. But we've all run into those people, like, and they're like, are you okay? And it's, well, you know, and you need to hide it. So I love what you're saying. Look out for one another because we're in this together. We talk a lot about how, in many ways, it's a team sport. So speaking of teams, good teams, big shout out. I want to give a shout out to our friends at Sela. Down near Philly, Carney hit us up yesterday, gave us a note. They're loving the shed. So go ahead, tag some people. If you know a great company that could, I mean, we couldn't adjust the price any lower.
It's free.
It's free. I'm Scottish. I've shopped around. It's tough to beat free. I'm just saying. You know, Google it. So yeah, like come one, come all, and let's dive in. So yesterday. Was all about scoreboards, KPIs, you know, and how pros know their score and
falling in love with your numbers.
Falling in love, like it's not a necessary evil. Like if you just look at that, you can't grind through. You got to love the score. You got to know what the score is. Today is all about how we put points on the board.
On the scoreboard.
Like this is ways to win, right? And so I'm pretty pumped about this because if we do this right. In my experience, your experience, and all the people we've worked with, man, this really can improve the lives of our customers. Man, it's really good for the company, and it's really good for you, your family, and your loved ones. So there's tons of reasons to do it, but we got to be honest with ourselves. Marlin's Law is in effect for this whole conversation, and let's jump right in. I've always said this is kind of like being a well-rounded technician. It's kind of like a three-legged stool, like. You can be really, really good at the technical stuff, and you probably should be. And like, but if that's all, you'll be fine. You'll always work, but you might not totally maximize it. Then there's the people that are like really good at the word stuff and the people stuff, and you know, they can go into any difficult, you know, it's the 5th callback and somebody has to go and take those bullets. Like, that's real, and people that can handle that, they're always going to have a good living. And then there's the people that just understand this is a business. Like, you gotta charge enough to keep the lights on. You can't give stuff away even if you're uncomfortable. You can't just throw stuff in. Like, and what we're talking about is the pros, man, they're usually pretty good. They like, if their natural inclination is technical, they work on the other two. If their natural inclination is to know exactly what's in this, but the bottom line is champions are like, they're all about strength training. They work to improve their strength. So I'm excited. Yeah. So what does you say, like baseball players, right?
Yeah, so like baseball players, you think about this. If you are a Major League Baseball player and you hit 300 home runs, nobody remembers your career. But if you average 300 on a batting average, you go to Cooperstown, like you get in the Hall of Fame. And so the way they do that is they hit lots of singles. They hit some doubles. Every once in a while they hit a triple, and once a month they might hit a home run, right?
Right.
But they hit for the cycle. And so if you're a really good technician, you want to hit for the cycle, because that's where all the revenue and the income can come to you and your family. And that's what we're talking about today.
Yeah, right? It's about learning all the different ways to help yourself, help your company, and help your customers ultimately. Yeah. And so it's sort of like I remember we've had a lot of veterans in our teams over the years, and I've talked a lot of them. When they talk about, like, in the Army, it's not like a platoon. It isn't all just like, you know, scouts.
Snipers.
Yeah, snipers. It's not like, oh, they're all carrying mortars. No, there's different skill sets in a team. And as a company, and for service managers, we're going to talk about, like, knowing your strengths of your team, knowing what they're working on, communicating that with dispatch, and setting your team up for success. Man, that is a good team.
It is, man. That's the way you do it, because you put your technician, your service provider, in a situation that he or she can really strive at, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, if you're the guy, if you're the stopper in your shop and you can fix anything, like, they know they can send you. If you can fix anything, and maybe you can turn that lead over to a comfort advisor, or you can sell a membership, or you can get a bunch of reviews. Like, you're like a dual threat quarterback. Like, you can run and pass.
So this is kind of like, we should just, let's hit all the different ways you think a technician, service provider should be working on their income streams. Like, what's the first one that comes to mind, the most obvious?
The most obvious is a conversion rate. And like, if you don't know what that is, it's every how many houses you go to, how many people did you help? And that's not a $79 diagnostic. That's not helping that customer. They still have a problem when you leave if you can't fix it. So if you ran 10 calls and you helped 7 people, you got a 70% conversion rate, and that's hitting for the cycle. That gets you into the Hall of Fame.
We'll talk about the other 3, but like, it's so interesting because no one ever calls us out just to say hi to a plumber, right? Like, as nice as we all are, it's never a good day when one of us show up, right? And so if we leave and all we did was collect $79, there's 2 problems. One, they probably had a problem, and they probably still have it, probably. But the other thing is, you and I were talking about this earlier, it's expensive. It's expensive to pay for a plumber at your house, but it's expensive to run a plumbing company. It's expensive to run a home service company. Because, what was the number? I'd heard it's over $200 just to roll a truck from the yard.
From point A to point B, a couple $100. And so if we only collect diagnostic, we're really not helping
anybody. That's not
anybody.
Great long-term, like, we might win a game, but we're not winning the championship.
No.
Right.
We're striking out most of the time.
So that's a good one. What after conversion? So conversion, number of people you help versus number of calls you see.
And then really the big one is how many times do you turn that over to a sales department? How many times do you turn that lead over to a comfort advisor?
Right.
And so we're not advocating that you should do that when they don't need a new system.
Marlon's
but sometimes, like you used to say, it's time to have that conversation with people.
So what we talk about is the professionals, like what they work at, is we're going to have a whole episode on this, by the way, next week. It's called Playing the Tape Forward. Our job, the technical term is information asymmetry, but like, we have a bunch of stuff. Listen, if the choice you give a homeowner is $300 or $8,000, just take a wild guess which one they're going to pick. You know, you don't even have to phone a friend.
You would take the $300
all day, every day, and they should. But listen, you got to help them. And listen, there's a ton of stuff, and I have learned from some of the best in this. And they nurture that homeowner, and that's the trick, is making everybody feel good about it. you know, it's not just about flipping stuff. It's about like having good conversations and then letting the customer choose. All we do is discover facts, share solutions,
let that customer choose.
So,
and like, hey, and there's a cost to advertising.
Oh, man.
Like everybody knows it. What's your favorite saying about advertising?
50% of advertising works. You just don't know which 50. Thank you. I'll be here all week, folks.
Hey, but there's a lot of like owners out there that they would love to give that money to the technician versus giving it to advertising.
Absolutely.
So if you're really good at your job, like you can earn more money. Like
and it's a good way of doing it because you're helping people, and we always talk. We want to help understand what the customer knows, help them understand what we know, and it's just a great way. And yeah, you'll end up making more money over your career, indirectly or directly. And we want to make sure we're doing that. All right, what's next? That's 2 so far. That's pretty good.
Hey, and we're going to have an episode on each of those next week.
That's true.
Next week is packed full of really good items to help you in your job right away. But really, you know, I'm all about memberships. I'm all about signing that customer up and bringing them into the family.
What do you call those? Like maintenance plans or PM plans? What do you call those?
Yeah, so when you have service providers that say, well, I don't want to run maintenance plans, I don't want to run those calls, I just want to run demand calls. Listen, a preventive maintenance call is just a demand call waiting to happen. Ooh. Like we go out, we service their furnace, we keep them safe. We go back out, we clean their air conditioner. We go back out and service their furnace and check all the dangerous things about the furnace. And then we go clean their air conditioner another time. And then when theirs breaks down and they have a membership with us, they don't call somebody else, they call us because they're part of the family. They say, well, I got a guy.
Everybody, it's good to have a guy.
Their neighbor says, my air conditioner's having a problem. They say, I got a guy. Like I got a guy, I got a pest control guy, Brian. Hey, Brian. And listen, if I see like a little bug running around my house, I don't just Google it.
Yeah, that's right.
Like I just call Brian. He comes right over. Like if I have a problem with my air conditioner, I call the office and they send Sadie over. She's my air conditioning service provider, and she does a great job, and I love her to death. Hey, Sadie. And but that's our people because I have a membership.
Right, that's right. And we want to grow the family. It's good for the customers. It's part of playing the tape forward. Is if you had an emergency, who would you call? We can handle that for you, and it's good for the company. It's good for you, and it's just a great thing to make the family bigger. It kind of ties in. You were kind of talking about like when your neighbor asks. That's like the one we talked about this yesterday. We talked about it a lot. Is reviews, right?
Yeah,
last stage in our step. Why is that important?
Well, it's important because everybody gives reviews and everybody gets reviews, and it's really important when that customer decides who they're going to use, they're going to Google your company and they're going to read reviews. Right and on. If you can get your name in there,
that's it.
It's really important because people do business with people they like, trust, and know, and you can go home and show your kids, like, look at this review I got.
I'm telling you, like, if you're constantly, if you run 5 calls today, 6 calls today, and you bring in 3 reviews with the company name on it, great experience, your name in it, your boss is probably going to do something nice for you. Service managers, if you're not working on how to make those easier to get, if you're not working on how to like incentivize those and make those a positive experience, because it does take a little bit of effort and a little bit of work, you should be looking at that. And that's another great way of bolstering your income just above flat hours work for the month.
You know,
right?
if you're talking about like an HVAC service provider, a technician may get a call today and it's a 28-year-old air conditioner.
Yeah.
Like those people, if they've owned that home for 28 years and the air conditioner is 28 years old, they're probably not going to replace it. They're probably going to continue to repair it, but they need a membership.
They need it.
You can sell them a membership. You can invite them into the family, but you can get them to give you a really nice review as well. And that's valuable to your company.
It's so, and what happens is, what I love about all these are all ways to help people. Like everything
absolutely.
here you do, if you do it ethically and morally correct, like you're helping people, but you're helping your other big rocks. You know, you make enough money, you can join a better gym. Like all of it, like it's just so connected. Lastly, there's the last one, and it's just sold hours, business hours. Like here's the deal: as service providers, we make money. We physically make money when we're turning a wrench, mowing the grass, hammering shingles. That's it. All that other time, we still get paid. You know, we're still getting paid. So that money needs to come from somewhere. So that's why when we do the job, here's the last way. Every time, like whether you're quoting a water heater, you know, and you make sure there's a dedicated circuit, because that's the code. You make sure that the vent isn't just thrown in and replaced, but it's accounted for, because this is not our money, and we need to do the job morally and ethically correctly as we've been instructed. That's what the paycheck's for. So it's kind of fun, right? And there's people I know, and this is what they do. Like, hey, they're the ones, they're the stopper for this. Like, if you're in a pinch and you're like, I'm going to quote this, I don't know, I've never done this before. You call them. They're the ones like, what is that? Steam? What's in there? PEX? Okay, you're going to need this, 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 and this. And that's the difference between doing a job and doing a job profitably. And that's a great way to make a living.
That's a great technician to have on your team. That's a real stopper. The guy that you can call and say, hey, what do I charge for this? And he knows the price book that well. Or she knows the price book that well.
I'm going to wrap it up. Here's the deal. It was on this day today, Roger Bannister, many years ago, broke the 4-minute mile. Up until that point, humans, scientists, everybody said it couldn't possibly be done. Today, high school students run the 4-minute mile. Somebody on your team is crushing one of these things. What are you going to do? Are you going to stay in your status quo, or are you going to pick something to build muscle around, get better, honor the commitments you made to your company, your customers, and your family, most of all to yourself? So the challenge of the day, pick one thing and crush it. Pick your way to win and crush it. Be a well-rounded tech. That's what we love here at the Shed. Okay, join us next week. We've got a whole season of deep dives on everything we talked about coming up, and join thousands of people just like you learning to make their day a little bit easier. I'll be with Jerry in the beautiful original Schedule Engine Shed, brought to you by our friends at Emerson. And Jerry, drop the wisdom.
Hey, be good out there so you can do good out there. Have a great day. Appreciate you stopping by.
Please.